Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Tiffany Ann. On my channel, I am going to be covering true crime cases. I would like to cover cases that aren't getting as much attention or haven't got as much attention as other cases. Not that any case is more important than other cases, but there's some cases that have stuck with me for quite a long time, like today's case, that I would like it to have some more attention or brought back, into relevancy today. And when I am not covering true crime, I would like to do other things on my channel that interest me, some of which are doing nails. I would like to do nail tutorial videos. I'm not an expert. I'm not great at it. I struggle, but I will struggle with them with you guys on my channel, because why not? I like doing them. It's a lot of fun. Maybe you guys want to watch me struggle. Who knows? And when I'm not doing that, I also want to try ASMR videos. I watch a lot of ASMR. I cannot sleep without ASMR videos. I want to try to do some. I think that I could do some. I think that I could do true crime videos, and I think that I could do nail videos. We shall see. You can struggle with me. I like going back to the beginning of creators that I end up loving. I like to go back to the beginning and watch where they started. So we'll see. In a couple of years, I may just look back and laugh, or I could look back like, look where I started, in my bedroom with my dented microphone and my nails that I haven't finished. Maybe one day I'll just be a pro, right? We shall see. But today's case is about Marcus Fiesel. This is an older case. It took place in August of 2006. Marcus was 4 years old. He was born to Donna Trevino. He had two other siblings. Their names are Michael and Peaches. When this took place, they were juveniles, so I couldn't find much out about his birth family. But Marcus is said to have loved flowers and bubbles, and that he loved watching Bob the Builder. And I don't know if that's a show now, but I remember it used to be a big show back in the day. I think my daughter might even love that show. She was born in 2003 also. So that might be one of the reasons that when this case first broke, it hit me really hard and has stuck with me the last 17 years. Marcus also attended a special needs school. He had autism, and he was said to have been extremely active with a lot of energy. His mom struggled quite a bit with that, as well as having two other children. And apart from that, she wasn't in very healthy relationships. The cops were called a couple times due to domestic violence that Donna was suffering at the hands of her boyfriend. And so if he was being abusive, I could just imagine that he wasn't very helpful when it came to parenting or, helping out around the house. So I'm sure she struggled a lot. I'm sure she had a lot of stress. And so when the police would be called due to domestic violence, they would make notes. The house smelled like feces, and that there were infestation of fleas. And Donna had quite a few run-ins with Child Protective Services due to, police activity. Also, Marcus fell out of a second-story window of his house. I don't know where Donna was or what was happening, but he fell out of the second-story window of his home. He ended up getting stitches on his chin. Thankfully, he didn't, get more hurt. And a couple of months later, Marcus was found wandering the streets. He was almost hit by a car. And when police took Marcus back home, Donna informed the police that she was over her head, that she could no longer take care of Marcus. She felt like it wasn't, she couldn't provide the safest place for him. And she told the cops, that she wanted to place him with Child Protective Services. And they put him with a Lifeway for Youth. And he was placed in the home of Liz and David Carroll, who were licensed to foster children in Claremont County. They even took extra courses or classes to become licensed to care for special needs children. So they should have had all the tools they needed to provide Marcus and other children and special needs children with the care and the protection and the love that they deserved. Upon becoming licensed, you need to have a background check. They will also do mental health checks. They will check your home to make sure your home is safe. And I don't know how many times they do this, but it should be done more than one time. It should be done, before they place any child, not just, the first one, because they had more than just Marcus. But in 2006, David Carroll was arrested for domestic violence. And if they would have ran a random background check, if Lifeway for Youth would have ran just a random background check, maybe once a year it should be ran, something like that, then maybe they would have seen his domestic violence charge and maybe been able to step in. But they didn't. And David also was said to have left the home at some point after Marcus was placed with them because he was jealous of the attention that Marcus and the other foster children received. That's insane. How are you jealous that children are being cared for or kind of cared for? There should have been more done. There needs to be more done in the future to all CPS agencies, to the workers. I know, that everybody's overloaded, everybody's caseloads are huge. I am in school to become a social worker. I cannot wait to be able to be on the other side and be helpful, right? Like running a background check once a year on your cases that you have. Run a background check once a year. Like, it should just be done. Like, shouldn't there be software? I don't know. But it wasn't done. And Marcus was living with Liz and David. They also had their live-in girlfriend. Her name was Amy Baker. She was living with them, and she also had 3 children. Now, Marcus was placed with them in April. This case takes place in August. Sometime in between those few short months, he turned 4. I hope he had, a good 4th birthday. On August 10th, there was a scheduled visit by the Lifeway Youth Center to come and visit Marcus and to see, how he's doing. He's only been there 3 months. And when the worker arrived, Liz told the worker that Marcus was sick and he was upstairs sleeping. So the worker stayed for a little bit and visited with Liz. She never did see Marcus. She never did go upstairs to check on him. But she just took Liz at her word and stayed for a bit and then left. The police received a phone call on August 15th of a missing child. When the police arrived to Julep Park, they were met by Liz, who told them that around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she was at the park with all 4 children, that she passed out from a low blood pressure issue, and when she woke up, Marcus was gone. She said that she thinks he either ran off or that someone took him. She said that if someone did take him, that she hopes that he was taken with good intentions, is what she said at a press conference 2 weeks later. And during the 2 weeks, there was searches held around Julep Park by the community and the police, searching for Marcus because they believed that he had wandered off or was taken, and they were trying to help her. She informed the media and the community that David had failed a lie detector test, but that they didn't believe it was accurate because they knew that David didn't do anything. So if he failed it, that meant that the tests weren't accurate. And during the press conference, she wore the same clothes that she wore the day that she passed out at Julep Park 2 weeks earlier, just in case anyone saw anything. She wanted to be able to jog people's memories, just in case they noticed her and the kids. So she wore the same clothes. The police were later, discussing the case, and they said that they knew from the start that it was Liz, that her quote-unquote goofy press conference, and that her, lies, that they just kept, not adding up. Because at one point she said that she only had 3 kids with her at the park. And then when David got there, then she remembered that she had 4 kids. So they kind of suspected her from the start. And they said that the last kidnapping by a stranger that any of the police working the case could remember was in the early 1980s. So they kind of thought something else was going on from the beginning. And during the 2-week investigation was when the police, that's when the police had learned that the Carroll family attended a family reunion in Kentucky on August 6th. So they headed right over to Kentucky to talk with the relatives of the Carrolls. And after speaking with the relatives and learning that Marcus was not with them on the trip, that it was just Amy, Liz, David, their 4 children, and the family dog that attended this family reunion on August 6th. They were subpoenaed. The sheriffs went and subpoenaed Amy Baker and Liz Carroll to appear before a grand jury. The detectives said they kind of thought that they could get Amy Baker to talk a little more than Liz or David, just because she wasn't responsible, legally responsible for Marcus. So they got her a public defender and took her into her. Once Amy was gotten in the interview room, she continued telling the same story, that Liz went to Julips Park with all 4 kids and passed out, and Marcus has been missing. After her continuing the same story, the detective informed her that if she told the grand jury the same lie, that she would go to prison. And after being told that, she would face her own prison sentence, she asked if she could meet with her public defender. And she took about an hour and a half meeting with him. And then the public defender came back and told the police that she's ready to tell her story, to tell the actual story, tell her side of the story. The investigators found the closet to be 105 to 115 degrees that day. Amy even told investigators that when they left, they could hear him screaming in the closet. And they left on Friday and attended the family reunion in Kentucky and returned 30 hours later on Sunday, and he was no longer alive in the closet. And after Amy's interview, she was taken in to testify in front of the grand jury. And after her testimony, they brought Liz right in. The detectives said that they didn't even want to interview her before she went straight in to talk to the grand jury. So when Liz got on the stand to testify in front of the grand jury, she didn't have, the courtesy that Amy had of being told, if you keep lying, you're going to prison. So Liz continued to lie when she got in front of the grand jury. She told them that Marcus was kidnapped from Julips Park. But see, she didn't know that they had found out about the family reunion. She also didn't know that the detectives had went ahead and spoke with her relatives and knew that Marcus didn't even attend the family reunion with her. So she continued to lie, saying that he was kidnapped from Julips Park. And then the prosecutor asked where Marcus was during the August 6th trip to Kentucky for the family reunion. And the prosecutor said that she just froze, that Liz turned white as a ghost, that she knew the jig was up. And the prosecutor said, you just wrapped that baby up in a sheet and threw him in a closet, didn't you? But then she did admit to leaving Marcus wrapped up in a blanket, in a playpen, but she didn't admit to wrapping him up in the blanket. And that when they returned home from Kentucky, that he was deceased, and that Amy and David then took his remains to dispose of Marcus's body to a house in Brown County, Ohio, an abandoned house, and burned his remains and then took, what was left and dumped him in the Ohio River from a bridge in Mason County, Kentucky. But when the police went back to the abandoned house in Brown County, they still found pieces of his clothes and, fragments of, bone and stuff that didn't burn and that they missed when they were taking Marcus to dump him in the Ohio River. After Liz testified in front of the grand jury, she was indicted and she pled not guilty to kidnapping, felonious assault, endangering children. There was 3 endangering children charges. She pled no contest to perjury, including panic and making false alarms. She was found guilty. She was sentenced to 54 years to life. She would not be eligible for parole until 2060. David Carroll pled guilty. He received 16 years to life. And after his trial was over, he told the reporters that he said that what really made him mad was that Liz had nothing to do with it, and that what actually happened was that David and Amy wanted to have sexual intercourse one morning while Liz was out running errands, and she put the kids outside to play and laid Marcus down for a nap. And David said he was unaware that Amy had wrapped Marcus up, and that after their rendezvous was over, Marcus was deceased, and that Liz shouldn't even been brought into it, that it should have just been him and Amy. David only received 16 years to life, so he was eligible for parole in 2022, last year. He went up for parole on September 1st. He was denied parole. The parole board said that he was not ready for release yet. And Amy Baker received no charges. She received full immunity for testifying against Liz and being willing to testify against David, but she didn't need to testify against him. He took his own deal. However, Kentucky authorities did bring charges against Amy and David for felony charge of tampering with physical evidence because they disposed of Marcus's remains in the Ohio River from a bridge in Mason County, Kentucky. David was already in prison, starting his sentence for the murder of Marcus. Amy was arrested, but she posted bond of $50,000, and they were going to take it to trial. However, the case was dismissed because of various issues with deals that were made in Ohio, regarding her immunity for testifying, and so they just dismissed the case. So Amy walked. No, she didn't have to take responsibility for none of it. All she had to do was tell what happened. I think that's ridiculous. She should have got some time in jail, at the very least. 2 years later, though, she was arrested again on drug charges. And funny enough, she ended up in the same prison as Liz, Marysville prison. She didn't stay there very long, about a year and a half, and then she was released. But she was in prison with her pal, with her girl. After the case was over with Marcus, Amy's 3 children were taken from her. She didn't fight for them. She just signed over custody. She said that she didn't think that she would be able to win, a case after the case that she was involved in with Marcus. So she just didn't even fight for her kids. After the case was dismissed, Amy's attorney called Amy to let her know that the case was dismissed, and Stacy Sanning, one of Amy's defense attorneys, called her and said that Amy burst into tears, that it didn't leave them any room to talk. Amy said that she was very happy that this traumatic experience in her life is over and that she can finally put it all behind her. Traumatic experience in her life, right? After the case ended in February of 2007, there was an article posted about Marcus's remains still not being picked up. They reached out to his biological mom, Donna, to see if they could possibly make arrangements to pay for him to be buried. But she denied those arrangements. She said she wanted to do it herself. So 3 months after the case was over, Marcus was finally laid to rest. Liz Carroll is still making claims of her innocence. She even says that she passed the lie detector test. Liz currently has no appeals left on the county or federal level. She is hoping that an attorney somewhere will see her case and want to take it on and possibly see some things that might have been missed and could be picked back up on. She says that exactly the same thing that David says, that she wasn't home when, everything happened, that she was just the one who got stuck with lying to the police about taking the kids to the park, that it could have been any of them, that she was just the one that lost that battle, that she had plenty of time to tell the truth and that she didn't, and she, regrets that fully, but she still claims that she's innocent. David takes full responsibility, and Amy takes no responsibility. And CPS and nobody else has to take any responsibility. This happened in 2006. Do you know the amount of cases since then that could have been prevented if there were bigger steps that people had to take in order to get innocent children placed in their home? There should be bigger steps, There should at least be background ran yearly, especially if there's children in the home, especially if they're still placing children in the home. It makes me sad. And I hope one day that changes will be made. Thank you for sticking around with me on my second video ever, my second case. Marcus Fiesel deserves all the attention that he should have gotten in life. And I'm happy to speak his name. Thank you if you stuck around to the end with me. I will see you next time. Bye.